Hi guys, and welcome back to Binecam Draws. Today I want to talk about how you can create your own paper canvas that you can draw on with your different brushes. You probably already know that you in your brushes have these kind of sketchy soft pastels, oil pastel, and crayons brushes that makes it look like you are already drawing on top of a surface that has a paper-like feeling. But you can actually take it a step further and then use normal brushes that doesn't have this texture, and then you can use it on top of a canvas and make it look like you're drawing on maybe watercolor paper. So there are two different ways that you can do this. As you can see, this drawing that I have inked out here, it's actually for my Inktober, is created on a very simple paper-like canvas. And I made it myself using these brushes that I just showed you right here, which is already incorporated in Procreate, but that is just one method of doing it. You can also import a piece of paper that you like with a texture that you like, and then you can make your own canvas from that. So let's just get straight to how you can do that. So if we just go back into the menu right here, you can see my Inktober there. Let's just go ahead and create a screen size right here. So the first method, which is creating your own paper using the already incorporated Procreate brushes, is the first method that I want to show you. So what you do is you make two layers. On this layer, you choose the background color that you would like for your paper. I normally go with like a sandy kind of paper, which is fairly light, because what we're going to do later is we're going to multiply it. So if you pick a darker color, it's going to look very dense, and we don't want that. So stay in the lighter tones and just color drop it. And remember, you can press the color icon up here, the color palette, and then you can just drag it down and it fills it out just like the bucket tool in Photoshop. The next thing you do is you go on top of that layer, and then you pick the brush that has the texture of the paper that you would like in your picture. So let's say, for example, we want the oil pastel. That looks kind of cool. Then we go into the color that we picked for the canvas. Remember, if you accidentally went away from the color, you can always pick this sample, pick up sample color, and then you get the color that you have in your background. We want to go a couple of tones darker than that. And then we make sure that the pencil is the right size that we want. And as you can see now, we're applying some texture to this background. I'm just gonna flip it because that fits my hand very well. And I'm just gonna stroke over the paper like this. So there you have it. You can create different textures depending on how hard you press. So you can see if I keep pressing it down like this and going over it and over it again, it becomes too dense. You want some of the texture in it. You want it to be light. So just hold it very lightly over the canvas and make sure that you don't press too hard, so you get all of the textures from the brush. This looks pretty cool. So after you've done that, you want to go into your layers, and then you want to merge that texture layer you just made down to the color layer you have underneath, because if you remove this, you can see you don't really have that dense color to the paper that you want. So we merge it down. Then the next step is that we create a new layer on top. This is the layer that you want to draw on. And I'm just gonna go in and select. You can see here I have made my own brushes, and for the purpose right here I want to use the paintbrush flat. You can also go into some of the original brushes that Procreate have created here, but I just want to use my own brush. So let's pick a color that we like. I'm putting this brush on a little, like high enough opacity that you can work with it, but I still want a little bit of pressure to be added to it before it becomes completely dense. And let's just start creating something. Maybe you can already kind of tell what it is that I'm drawing. I'm just drawing a pear shape right here. Let's apply a little bit of shadows to this one. This is just for, you know, as a test to show you guys what I mean. Just can't really help myself. I just want to give him a wee face. So now we have a little drawing that we can work with, and then I can show you guys what will happen in a moment, because as you can see right now when you look real closely to this, the color is totally flat on this side. Where the opacity is very low, you can still see the texture underneath, and that's fine, but we want the texture to come through also on the dense color parts, because that is what it would do if you were drawing on a real piece of paper, and that is what we're trying to replicate right here. So you go back to your canvas layer, then you slide it to the left, press duplicate, and then you place that layer on the very top. Of course, that makes your line art disappear, but then you go into the blending modes, which is on this icon right here, and we can see there are different blending modes down here, but the one that we want to stay in is the group called darken, and then you want to pick multiply, and then you can see all of a sudden you have the texture still shining through the dense parts of the drawing. Now this piece of paper is very dark, and some people like that, but maybe I think this is a little too dark. So what you can do is, if we go and delete this layer, we go back to our original background right here, we go into adjustment and hue, saturation, and brightness. We turn down the saturation just a little bit and we make it a little lighter. Okay, what happens when we go back into this layer and we duplicate again? We place this layer on top and go into multiply. As you can see, it's a little lighter. I still think it's a little bit too saturated. So let's go back, turn down the saturation even more. Repeat the process, duplicating it, putting it on multiply. There. Now I think we have a piece of canvas paper that actually looks just the way that I want it. And yeah, it's as simple as that actually. Just to demonstrate, if we put this line art layer on top, you can see we go back to the dense color blocking out the texture of the canvas underneath. And if we put it back, it's a very, very small, almost not noticeable difference, but it is there and the eye will catch it and it will make it feel like you're drawing on paper a little bit more. Of course, it's difficult to replicate the entire feeling of drawing on real acrylic paper or watercolor paper, but this comes pretty close. But if you want to enhance it even further, you can go into the line art layer and you can put that on multiply as well. Don't know if you can sense the difference going on here, but it makes the texture pop even more. And yeah, then it's just a question of moving into the drawing and seeing kind of where it takes you. Okay, now to the second method of doing this. Let's just block these out. We are going to save them though, because I might want to use this canvas later because I actually quite like it. The next method is, I wouldn't say more complicated, but it's different in the sense that you actually don't create your own canvas layer, you import a picture of a canvas layer. And the way that you do that is you can go maybe online. I just did a search on paper texture, and then I just screenshotted this texture right here, which is watercolor paper texture. You can use any kind of texture that you want. And of course, when you do that, you go into your photos and you copy it. You can add to Procreate as well, but I like to copy it instead. Then you go back into Procreate. And remember, you can slide 3 fingers on the canvas layer, or on the display, sorry, and then press paste, and then you have your canvas right there. But of course it doesn't fill out the way that you want it to. I'm just going to put it in uniform, and I'm going to stretch this as far as I can, then back into freeform, and I'm just gonna raise it so it fills out the entire paper. So there you have a real piece of texture paper that you imported. And actually the process right now is pretty much the same process. I do think that I want to turn down the saturation here as well, make it a little lighter, because we remember from before what happens when we multiply it. It becomes darker. So let's go ahead and duplicate our line art layer, because we might as well use that. Just like before, you want the line art layer in the middle. And then we go in on the top layer, press multiply, and you can see that has a really intense effect on how it looks texture wise. We can put that into normal. So here you have a really solid texture layer for the background. And that can maybe be cool if you want to create something a bit more abstract. If you think that maybe the texture here is a little bit too zoomed in, all you can do is go back into your layer, and then you can copy paste it. Just gonna flip this like that. You see, it's like we're assembling it like it's a piece of a puzzle like that. You can see it maybe doesn't fit directly, but it's just if you found a really good piece of paper that you really like and you kind of want to use that texture, this could be one of the shortcuts for creating your own canvas with that piece of texture that you already have. And the reason that I'm flipping these is because I want the outline of the texture on the top of this. I want that to match as closely as we can. So nearly there. Flip that again. Put it there. And then we have a little bit of a problem with our edges right here, but we're just gonna go into canvas under crop and resize, and then we're just gonna crop it like that. So now we can see we're not as zoomed in on the texture. We're gonna duplicate it again on the top and multiply. Okay, what happened here? Very important, I forgot to merge the layers. Actually, that may be a good thing that you saw that, because that's a great lesson also for myself. Of course, every time that you copy and paste a layer, you make a new layer. So we still have to merge these. And what you can do is you can take your fingers and you can just pinch them together like this, or you could go in manually and then just merge down. So now you have the entire layer right there. It's always good when you make mistakes when you're doing tutorials, because then you can also, you know, teach what you're not supposed to do. That's a great excuse, isn't it? Okay, back into multiply, and now we have a canvas that works maybe a little bit better for this purpose. So those are the different options. You can create any kind of texture that you want with this. I would recommend that you go in and check out these 4 brushes that comes with the program, because I think they have some really nice textures to it that you can use for this specific purpose. As you can see on my Inktober right here, I like a paper canvas for my ink drawings that are very, very subtle. And I created this very subtle look with the soft pastel. So maybe I'm a little bit more into creating my own textures instead of downloading them from a picture online. It's not that, you know, it's wrong doing it like that, but I think there's something nice and organic to creating your own canvases. So yeah, that was it. I hope that you found this useful, and if you like what I do and how I do it, then please give a like and subscribe and stay tuned for more art videos. And thank you so much for the support, and to those returning subscribers that are returning to watch my videos even though I am so slow at uploading. Thank you so much for staying around. And yeah, I just wish you all a very good and artful day. Bye!